In this video, we're going to discuss alignment and also look at some practical physical ways to find alignment. Now, all alignment means is how the joints of your body meet one another. You might also want to think of it as posture or simply how we stand or sit. The first thing we're going to start looking at is our feet and where they are on the floor. Now, you may not think it's that important, but actually, anything that happens at the feet will impact what happens higher up the body. We're going to use the days of the week to try a few things out. And the first thing I want you to do is to stand with your feet actually right next to one another. So really bring them in side to side, the inside of each foot is touching. And you might already find that this is slightly putting you off balance. If you're sitting down, you might want to try this with crossing your legs, maybe. The idea is we're bringing the body in slightly. And now just try those days of the week for me. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. Next thing, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to bring our legs quite wide. Now, don't go radically wide. It's not going to be something that would look very, very odd, but it might be quite a powerful position to start with. Take a moment, though, and just notice what's happening in the body with the legs further apart. So, for example, I can feel that my abdominals are having to work harder to keep me in this position. Let's do those days of the week again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, I feel quite confident in this position, but actually I'm having to use a lot of extra muscular effort to stay here. So if I was in this position throughout a long presentation, I think I'd get quite tired quite quickly. Also, there's something about this position with the legs wider than the body that slightly blocks you from your audience. It's almost as if you're saying, I'm going to be the most important thing here. And actually, for really confident and impactful communication, we actually want to be in equal dialogue with our audience. So let's find a way to do that. Let's bring the feet underneath the body. So they're now directly beneath my hips. And I'm going to do those days of the week again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now for me, in my body, that feels the best way to do that, to use the least amount of muscular effort. One more thing on this though, where do we want our weight? Do we want it back in our heels? Do we want it forward in our toes? Well, again, let's try it out. So all I want you to do, and if you're sitting down, again, you can bring the body forwards. And if you're standing for this, you're just going to bring your weight into your toes. Now, your heels will still be on the floor, but the main part of your weight feels like it's driving forwards. Let's try those days again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you can bring that back to the middle. Now, you might have noticed there in my voice, it actually sounded a little bit strained. And that's because I'm having to use quite a lot of muscles in the lower half of the body to keep the body balanced so it doesn't fall over. And all of that tension is traveling up my body and into the area around my vocal cords. Same thing, let's go backwards slightly, so be careful. Bring the weight into your heels, toes on the floor but almost floating. And we're going to do those days again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Back to the middle. So again, as I went there, I could feel some of that resonance, some of that tone leaving my voice because of what the muscles were having to do. So we're going to think about the feet position as being directly under the hips and with the weight in the middle of the foot. Let's bring our attention from our feet up to our knees. You'll remember from the video where we looked at tension and how that can affect the voice, that if we lock those knees, it really does bring quite a lot of tension further up the body. So we're going to think about those knees as being nice and loose. Be careful though, you don't want it to tip over into the knees moving a lot and let that nervous tension move through the body. Be careful with those knees though. If they're too released, it might become a place that some of that nervous tension gets into without you realising. Let's bring our attention now up to our torso and the area around our spine and our shoulders. There's two words I want to give you here, and that's lengthen and widen. And what I mean by that is we want to feel a sense of length up the spine, and we want to feel some width in our shoulders. Let me demonstrate what happens when we don't have that width and that length. So I'm going to bring my shoulders forwards and I'm going to slump in my body. So I'm going to let my body drop slightly. Now imagine for a moment that I'd done the whole video like this. It doesn't really instill loads of confidence. It's also actually harder for me to get my voice out. So now I'm going to lengthen in the spine. You'll notice I say lengthen on purpose, and that's because I don't want you to pull up, but I want you to feel that you're not letting your body collapse. And then I'm going to let those shoulders come back. Again, I'm not pulling my shoulders back, I'm letting them open. The two benefits of standing with this length and this width is for you, the person doing it, this position here sends messages back to the brain that you're feeling confident. The second benefit is that for your audience, you look confident. So you're not having to start from a place where you're having to win people over or make people think that you know what you're doing. They can see it in what's happening in your body. The last thing I want to look at with alignment is how our head and neck meet one another. Ideally, you want your chin to be level with the floor. And there's a few reasons for that. Again, it's partly to do with what's happening physically for you and how your voice is made, but also partly for the messages that you send to your audience. So imagine I'd had my chin slightly up and maybe coming towards the camera, a little bit like this the whole way through. It looks a little bit tense, and it definitely feels it. It's much harder for me to get my voice out when my chin is up. Equally, if my chin is slightly down, it might be that I start looking down with that, or I'm looking up, but I'm looking slightly underconfident with that chin coming down towards the body. It's also robbing me of some of that space. I can feel my voice has got quieter with this position here. So that is how we want our bodies to begin to align themselves for our best chance at impact and so that we feel confident. Let's really quickly recap it. Feet on the floor, underneath the hips. Knees, a little bit of loose bounce in them, but not moving them around too much. Torso, a sense of length and a sense of width across the shoulders. And finally, a little bit of awareness around what's happening in our jaw and chin so that we're not pulling it forward or pulling it down.